Warning: the following podcast show that you're about to listen to will include explicit language and content in which you, the members of the audience, may find offensive. Audience discretion is advised.
Welcome to another episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience.
Yeah, boy.
Where anything and everything is a subject matter on the show, and no subject matter is ever taboo.
Damn, that's what's up with you.
And now, your host with the most, Mr. Kim Hoang. Bro, am I getting paid for this?
Yo, hey, what's going on, everybody? How in the world are you? This is your boy, Kim Hoang, the Asian sensation, and we're here once again making another great episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, coming at you live over in Wheaton, Maryland, over at the Prototype Studio, which is literally not far from Washington, D.C., and it's great. You know, it's great to be here. I'm glad to be here. It's wonderful to be back in the booth, back in the Prototype Studio, and just doing what I love to do, which is, number one, expressing my creativity, because, you know, this is something that I love to do. It's my creative medium. And number two, you know, I'm just glad to, you know, do things of a regular norm, a regular routine. And this is a part of it for sure. You know, just to be here, just to create content, just to talk about some stuff, whether if it's something that I know, whether if it's something that people need to hear or people want to hear, etc., etc. It's amazing. You know, it's just me, the room. It's also the booth and this Shure microphone that's like really what I'm facing. You know what I mean? So it's a real good thing. I do have to say, though, like today, on a day like this, it is really, really warm and it's beautiful. And to me, I know that we're still in the month of March, but pretty soon, we are in April. So January, February, March, past March, we're in April. April is the 4th month. Soon enough going to be in the 5th month, which is in the month of May, which already, you know, spring is already here. It's already here, and it's wonderful. And if the pleasant weather that we're having right now in the Washington, D.C. area, if it's this warm right now, early in the game, I'm pretty sure that we're going to have a great summer. Now, at least to me, theoretically, what I mean by a great summer is that it's not going to be cold. Now, if you are a citizen of the DMV, which is Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Northern Virginia, and all that stuff, you know, here in the DMV, you know, in the Atlantic part of the East Coast, the weather does get a little bit nasty during the summertime. I mean, you know, it starts out pretty good, then it gets super hot, and it's not so much of the hotness of the temperature. It's the humidity factor. So when it's hot and it's humid and it's muggy and it, you know, it's, let's just say, for example, it's like 90 degrees Fahrenheit, but it feels like it's 110 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's because of that, you know, that humid, muggy, you know, sticky situation that's causing the weather to feel that intense. Yeah. So, but I just can't wait for it. You know, call me crazy, but, you know, it's just time. Because I feel like it was yesterday that 2025 started, and it wasn't, you know, it was nice. It wasn't as pleasant, but it was nice. You know, we were able to get through it and so forth, and that's what it was. So, yeah. You know, today, I think I'm going to stir things up a little bit. I'm definitely going to be a little bit unconventional. You know, I sometimes, you know, you always have to kind of go off the script a little bit. So it's just like I tell people all the time. When it comes to you being a creative, especially like if you are a podcaster, you have to set the tone and you dictate the rules and so forth. You know, your rules are basically the rules that you set for yourself and that you follow. You know what I mean? Nobody else is setting it up for you. You basically make the situation happen in any which way that you want. So if you decide, hey, I'm going to go into plan A and follow plan A because I've always done plan A, that's fine. That's cool. I got nothing against that. If you want to rock the boat and do something that's not normally what you do, so you choose plan B, that's okay too. You know what I mean? It's what you make of it, how you deal with it, how you present it, how you act on it, and it's all good in the hood. So, and I just want to start out with something. Obviously, last week, we did not have an episode. And I know that a lot of people were probably asking a lot of questions. I already know that I got a lot of questions. And it's really, really simple. But as a review, a lot of people were wondering, yo, Kim, what happened? Why weren't you making an episode last weekend? Why didn't you put it out there? What was going on? Well, long story short, in the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, it's no secret that I'm a one-man crew. I'm the one that sets up the interviews. I'm the one that does the interviews. I'm the one that, does a lot of organizing and coordination. I'm also the guy that does a lot of editing and so forth. So I don't have like my own dream team per se. But, it's okay because at least for me, at least I know when I do my own podcast, I'm doing it in the way that I want it. I'm doing it in a position where, this is the presentation and I'm okay with it because this is how I really wanted it. And I feel like if I did something and it didn't go right, I have nobody to blame but myself, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that responsibility. But, with the responsibilities of making podcasts and, of course, also having a day job, because without my day job, I wouldn't be able to have this. It really started to pile on a little bit. So I decided to take the advice of a previous episode that I did seasons ago. I don't know if people remembered it. I think it was in 2022 that I actually did this particular episode. And I remember it very well. This was a time where I was actually recording remotely. I was recording remotely. I believe I was in Greensboro, North Carolina. The situation with that was that a friend of mine was competing in a karate tournament that happens over there in Greensboro, North Carolina. That happens about every 2 years, and they call it a world championship because everybody from all around the world competes in it. What they don't tell you is that it's just a world championship in the sense that it's only within their organization. So I went there regardless. And, I checked out the competition and I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was like, okay, well, this is pretty, dope. I think it's awesome. But it gave me time to actually, get with my creative juices while I was not watching the competition. I really wanted to do something and I thought, this would be perfect. So I did an episode where, if I remember correctly, I was talking about traveling, going to places, how it's really cool to actually have an opportunity to go ahead and travel out there and see the world and really appreciate it for what it's worth. And I thought to myself, wow, if I could do something like that in terms of following my own advice, I should do it. And if you want to know specifically on what it was, believe it was, I believe it was actually season 1. It was season 1. It was episode 42. Said go. It's the episode that says go travel. There's life outside of your hometown. So I followed that advice. And I wanted to do it because I wanted to, recharge my batteries and so forth. I wanted to take time off. I had some personal business to take care of anyways, of a personal matter. I'm not going to really get into all of that part. I'll leave that classified. But, I actually took a trip to one of my favorite cities in the United States of America, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And I like it because from the Washington, D.C. area, it's about 2 hours and a 20-minute drive away. I have made that drive plenty of times, meaning I've driven there before, and it's something that I really enjoy. And something about going in from 95, and I think it's 676, I'm not sure. But when you go into the Philadelphia city limits, and you see the 3, major sports venues that make up Philadelphia, that you're there. It's like, wow, that's crazy, because I knew where, when I got there, it was awesome. And I was like, oh my God, I see this all the time when I come in, I'm really shocked, that I'm here and I made it. Example, I see the Wells Fargo Arena. That's where the Philadelphia 76ers of the NBA play. Philadelphia, what is it? What's that team? Philadelphia Flyers. Yeah, they play there. And then the Lincoln Financial Field, where the NFL's Eagles play, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the baseball stadium is there. I believe it's called Citizens Bank Park, where the Philadelphia Phillies of Major League Baseball play. And when you actually see those 3 stadiums out there, like, on your left-hand side going into Philly, it's like, dude, you made it. And I loved it. I needed that time to take, time out for myself, and it was wonderful. Spending, I always like going to places by myself, meaning I don't have relatives or anything of that sort, because it's something where, the trip, I go on my own, and I make the best of my time with this trip, and I do what I want. I'm not going to do what anybody else wants. I want to do what I want. As soon as I got to Philly, I did exactly what I needed to do. I took care of a little bit of that business. Now, again, I'm not going to say what it is, but I will tell you that it's not illegal and it's not something that will get me in trouble. So I want to make that, crystal clear and very transparent. But once I was done with everything that I needed to do, I went over, I picked up a gift for a friend of mine who was celebrating a birthday. Went over to the Asian World of Martial Arts. That's over there in Philadelphia. It's first off, I got to say that place is amazing. It's awesome, and I love it. The only thing that I don't like, that I found out, was that when I got there, the storefront was closed. And I was just like, holy crap. So, where I went over there to that address, 9400 Ashton Road, I went over and parked, and I went over to the front of the building, and it was locked. Luckily, a real cool guy who worked for Asian World of Martial Arts was like, no, dude, you got to park it in the back if you're trying to pick up like an order or something like that. The storefront is no longer available. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess that makes sense. So I went there. I did my thing there. Went over to Central Philly. You know what I mean? And I went over to South Street, and it was wonderful just to see the city again. It's been like, I don't know, like, God, I want to say it's been like 3 or 4 years since I've been over to Philly. I hadn't been in Philly in a while, you know what I mean? Or at least I felt like I haven't been in Philly in a while. And I went there, South Street. It was awesome. Got a chance to really go over and check it out, and just be there. Saw Penn's Landing. Walked around and checked out a few shops around the area and so forth. That was cool. When it came to lunchtime, I knew that I wanted to go over to Jim Steaks on the corner of 4th and South Street, and it was awesome. And just going to a place that I really like to go and frequent when I go to Philly, and just eat it, I was really enjoying myself. I was having a good time, and so forth, and it was incredible. And then, I ended it by going over to the Philadelphia Museum of Art, where it's made famous, where all the Rocky movies, the scene where Rocky Balboa runs up the stairs up to the very top of the Philadelphia Museum of Art. And I was just like, dude, yes, oh my God, I'm here. And it's wonderful. It was great. I saw some awesome sights. I saw, the whole town of Philadelphia, downtown from that site. It was amazing. And I got to be honest with you. I have to be real honest with you. It definitely brought some good times. I definitely felt like I was relaxed. It's something about just getting out of Maryland, even for a little while. Sometimes you have to do it just to, appreciate life for what you have here in, where you live. Especially for me, being from the Maryland state, borderline Washington, D.C. area. And, it was good. My only one regret, there are 2 people that are in my life. One of them is still here. The other one is no longer here. These 2 brothers, I always felt like they were, it was kind of like a pact. That when we go there together. It would be fun. It would be incredible. And it'd be, all that in a bag of chips. One of them is a good friend of mine, Timothy Apollo, who's originally from the D.C. area, in D.C., and, since then has moved out to Atlanta, Georgia, pursuing his career and being a stuntman and doing a very good job, I might add. So, Tim, if you're listening to this, I'm really proud of you, brother. I'm really proud of what you're doing. And, just keep doing the damn thing. The other person that's no longer here, and I've mentioned him a lot, is my brother, Jonathan Henderson. A real good brother. One of my best friends, or the best friend that I ever had. And, when I thought about it, I was like, man, as much as I love being here in Philly, I do need to go home. So after that, I just decided to go home, and I felt like it was, the right time to leave Philly, because I knew I wasn't going to stay for the whole day. It's not like I had a hotel. I just wanted to go, escape for the day, do what I needed to do, relax, have some fun in my own way with the time that was allotted, and that was it. And I really enjoyed it. And I always feel like, to a lot of people, that if you have time to get away. You need to recharge in your own way. You know what I mean? And you need to just not really think of things right then and there that kind of gets you stressed out, or gets you all hyped up in the wrong way, or, gets you to a point where your mental health is bad. Yeah, you need to do it. Now, I'm not saying, take a trip where, you need to have, an airplane flight to the destination. I mean, you can just do, like, let's say, for example, if you live in Baltimore, but you want to go somewhere that's an hour away, that's out of Maryland. Hey, I mean, if you want to drive up there, feel free, as long as you put yourself in a good position to do it, that you have the means and so forth to do it, and if you want to do it. Now, I'm not saying that, it's mandatory, but it's definitely suggestive that if you feel stressed out and you need to go somewhere, go ahead and go. You know what I mean? And again, I'm not talking about like getting an airplane trip to California, like Los Angeles or San Francisco or somewhere like that. But it could be like a nice drive. Even if you go somewhere like you go over to like a trail where like it's like a 5 or 6 mile walker. Just like a walking trail in a park, and you just go there and you walk and you're just kind of being one with nature and you're breathing in the air. If that's what you want to do it. I feel like it's important. I did it. I had a good time with it, but I'm back now. I'm fired up and I'm ready to go. And If this tone that I'm speaking of right now doesn't convince you, I don't know what will. But I feel good. I'm feeling in a good place, and I'm feeling that I'm back and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to do what I do because I love doing it. I love doing it for you guys, and it's incredible. So that's my story. I just needed to take some time off, and I know me. When I need it, I need it, and I made that executive decision to go ahead and do it, and I don't regret it. Not at all. So it was really good. We're going to go ahead and take a little bit of a break, but when we do come back, we will get into another segment, and then to cap it off, we will do the Q&A session, your favorite, part of the show and mine, the very good installment of the show. So do what you need to do, take a break and so forth, get a drink of water, answer some phone calls or some texts or what have you, because when we come back, the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience will be back in full force and we will be ready to go. We'll see you in a bit. I want to tell you about an amazing store that's really good for all musicians, music enthusiasts, and a whole lot more, which is Chuck Levin's Washington Music Center in Wheaton, Maryland. That's right, you heard it correctly. Since 1958, Chuck Levin's has been actually tearing up the game when it comes to the music scene. And guess what? Since 1958, they have been the store to go to and a must-visit destination for any serious musician passing through our nation's capital. So, if you're actually a person that's in a band looking for a new instrument, such as an electric guitar, an acoustic guitar, a bass guitar, or maybe some drums, if you're a DJ looking for like the greatest DJ equipment, such as turntables and so forth, they got you. Hey, are you actually in an orchestra playing a woodwind instrument, brass instrument, or strings? They got you. They got all the classical instruments that you need. And let's not forget, for all my fellow podcasters, need a microphone? They got you. Need a podcasting vocal track recorder? They got you. They got everything, man. And I'm telling you, it's the best place to go. So if you want to check them out, go ahead and do so, because right here at Chuck Levin's, they're the best. Forget the rest. Mess with the best. Located over at 11151 Veers Mill Road in Wheaton, Maryland. They're open Monday through Saturdays, 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. If you want to know more about what they have to offer, you can go over to chucklevins.com online or give them a buzz at area code 301-946-8808. Chuck Levin's Washington Music Center. Like I said before, don't worry about the rest. Mess with the best.
And now, back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience with your host, Kim Hoang.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, where we just took a little breather and took a little bit of a break. And before I get into the next segment, I got to say this. When I was taking my break, that was probably the most relaxing time that I ever had before going into the booth and recording again. And I say it because right now at this very moment, we're in the month of April. And a few days from now, it's going to be May. But already, I mean, maybe it's just me, but in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area in the DMV, it's been a little bit more warmer than usual. And I'm not complaining. I think it's a great thing. I was stepping outside, getting a breather, enjoying the moment, and my God, it was just like really, really warm and really, really awesome. And it felt comfortable and it felt right. It almost felt like summer has arrived early. And I'm all about it. Like, it's great. The only thing that I know that I can possibly complain about is that if it gets warm, right now, and it's really amazing, I fear that the summer is going to be hot, humid, and just unbearable. Normally, that's the deal when it comes to weather in the DMV, but, me being here for so many years, all my life, you just kind of get used to it. At that point, I'm just like, okay, well, it is what it is. I have to do what I have to do, and I have to appreciate what's going on. So, I'm just glad that I had that moment to feel the warmth, to feel the energy of the sun, to be in a good position, because, it easily could be super cold for April, but it's not. And I just count my blessings, and I feel happy about it. And I feel like, man, if it's like this now, better appreciate it for what it's worth. So, that being said, let's roll into to the next segment of what I need to talk about. I feel like I have talked about this before. I really feel like I did. For some strange reason, I feel like if I didn't talk about it in a full-length episode, I felt like I kind of talked about it in some way, shape, or form. So, in that particular situation, I'm like, okay, this is what's going to happen, and it is what it is. And hopefully, if people hear it and they listen to it, they'll be open-minded to it, they'll be good about it, and it's going to be great. So, I'm taking a chance here today. I'm going to see what's going on. If you had heard about this already from an episode, my apologies. If you haven't, that's good. But I feel like for me, that I'd rather talk about something again than to not have talked about it at all. And if I talk about it again for a second time or a third time possibly, it's because I feel very passionate about that particular situation. That's just how it rolls. So, let's go into it. Recently, I have read a lot of stuff online, particularly stories about people quitting something, and they kind of leave it for a very, very long time. And then they want to go ahead and come back to it. Now, There's a lot of reasons why people quit a certain activity. Now, the activity, I'm just going to leave it, I'm going to leave it open because it could be anything. I could say that it could be martial arts, but that could be too predictable. But, I mean, it doesn't mean that it is not applicable. People quit a lot of activities all the time, whether if it's, learning martial arts, whether if it's doing something that involves being a musician and, learning music and practicing music. People quit cooking. People quit being an actor or being in the film industry. Some people quit art, just like, hey, I used to be a painter, but now I don't anymore because I just, I just don't. Now, when people quit these activities, there could be a lot of reasons, but we're not trying to focus on it. Not on that. The one thing that I read was there was an international question that came along with this type of situation that I'm talking about. And the question is, if I quit a certain activity that I used to engage in all the time, can I come back? And the short answer is that yes. I truly believe if there's something that you quit and you want to come back to it, can you come back? Absolutely. A lot of people come back to these things, said activities for a lot of reasons. Maybe it's something that they feel like there was a void that was missing, and that particular activity was the thing that helped fill that void. Maybe it could be a situation where that said activity basically kind of stimulated their mind and gave them an emphasis on focusing on the task at hand rather than what's going on with the, outside noise, if you will. Some people actually feel like, I enjoyed it so much that, when I quit, I feel like I made a mistake and I should come back because, I like the activity and it gives me such a great happiness and joy and enrichment. And there's, nothing wrong with that. For some people, maybe it's like, I need to accomplish something because I left it on the table. I coulda, shoulda, woulda, but I didn't really get a chance to do that or prove that because I left a little bit too early in the game. And I understand that. Guys, it is a common story everywhere around the world. You do something, people enjoy themselves when they first do it, and then later on, it gets to a situation where they just say adios. It's time for me to get out of here. And again, we don't want to talk about the negative reasons of why people quit that. That's not what we're in in this business for. What I'm saying to everybody is that if you really have something in your mind where you think about an activity that you love so much and you want to go back to it and you keep on thinking about it and you have to ask yourself that question, should I go back? I think that's a real good indicator, letting people know and letting yourself know that you should go back. And for me, I mean, I have engaged in several situations where it was exactly like that. And I think you probably know where I'm going with it. And rather than being specific, I'll just say stopping something that I loved so much, I felt like afterwards, when I did quit and I kept on doing my own thing, I think it just slowly made me realize how much that I missed it, how much I appreciated it, and how much that it meant to me in my lifetime. And that I would feel really bad if I just didn't make an attempt to, retry again, to go back into that activity and to do something that I love to do. And I think that's really important, Now, whether or not you choose not to do that, well, that's a different situation all in itself. I mean, because let's be real about it. You as a human being have a right to make a decision on anything that you want. So if you want to do it, that's cool. That's awesome. That is your decision. And as long as you thought it out and you really made sense of it and you're okay with that decision to go back and re-engage in said activity, that's cool. And, we give you much love and support for that. However, if you basically stopped and you at least considered wanting to go back, but all the signs point to no because of whatever reasons that you came up with through from your mind right into the reality and slammed it on the table, that's okay too. I think there's some things in life people are meant to do, and it fits very well like a glove. Other times, there's some things that people are meant to do something else. And because of this, epiphany, this, this moment of clarity, the writing is on the wall for you. And now it's not to say that you're disrespecting something that was once your passion. I think that at that point specifically, anybody who's anybody will always have a situation where they will always appreciate and love the particular, creative moment, that creative art. They'll always love it and appreciate it and have so much love and respect for it. But choosing your own way isn't bad. It isn't. However, going back to what we were saying, if can I come back to it? I would say yes, you could come back to it. Should you go back to it is a different situation. I think that a lot of people need to understand that when you make that kind of decision of wanting to come back, you have to do it for the right reasons. There can't be an ulterior motive. It can't be a decision that was, influenced by other people that kept on coming down your neck and saying, you should come back, you should do this, you should redo this and so forth, or revisit this particular situation and then go down the rabbit hole. That's a decision that you have to make on your own. Because if you don't make that decision for yourself, it's just going to be a false sense of hope. You know what I mean? And we don't want that to happen. We want people to feel really good about themselves, feel happy about themselves, feel like if I was to go back to this activity and I made this decision for myself and of myself to re-engage in that activity, then yes, absolutely. Jackpot. And, I hope that's the case for a lot of people, being in a situation where, hey, I tried this activity and I really want to go back this time. I have a lot to prove. This was a decision that I made by myself, a grown man decision, that did grown man things and was, trying to look at the situation and then make a decision right then and there about yay or nay. To those that want to go back, I give you much love and support, and I salute you, because it does take a lot for a person to say that they want to come back, into something that they're doing, that they love to do, and they're bringing it back. It takes a lot of courage. It really does. And for you to actually acknowledge that and to say, yes, this is it, and this is what I want to do, and I feel like if I do it, then the rewards are this, and this. Hey, that's amazing. That's awesome. And I just hope and pray for those individuals that, want to get back into the saddle, that really want to do something, that they really want to make an impact, They want to make sure that they're doing the right things and, making sure that the decision that we make is going to be a real awesome one. 100%, no doubt. So at this point, I hope that you guys get inspired, make sense of a little bit of the logic that I put out here, from my mouth, delivering the words to the mic, and for you guys to hear. So I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of a break. When we come back, the greatest segment of them all, guys, the Q&A session, the Q&A forum. You ask the questions, and guess what? I will answer it, and I'll do the best that I can. So do what you need to do. Go ahead and take a break. Do whatever. Do what you must, because the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience will be coming back in full force, ready to swing and hit for the fences and show why we are good at what we do here in the podcast world, here on the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. All right, we'll see you in a bit. In life, we all want to have great health and excellent physical fitness. However, it's never given, only earned. That said, if you want to go to a gym that will help you to get there, then look no further than Kicked Up Fitness at National Business Parkway in Annapolis Junction, Maryland. Their mission at Kicked Up is to provide the ultimate functioning training facility that focuses solely on your success, with a diverse team that's highly qualified and dedicated to taking your fitness goals to the next level. Kicked Up also offers a variety of group classes and personal training programs that provide something for everyone, regardless of your fitness level. They believe in working hard, achieving results, all while having fun. So come visit their facility in person, which is located at 114 National Business Parkway, Suite 100 in Annapolis Junction, Maryland, 20701. Now, if you see my friend Sean Queen, who's the owner of Kicked Up, tell him that Benny Chow of Miscalculated sent you, and he'll hook you up with a complimentary 7-day pass just to try it out. Need more info? Give him a call. 410-888-9066. Email them at kufitnessnbp@gmail.com or visit them at their website at www.kufitnessnbp.com. Kicked Up Fitness. Never given, only earned.
And now, back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience with your host, Kim Hoang.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. And you know what time it is, because we are literally reaching the very end of our podcast episode. And before that, we have a segment that we like to do. But before that, let me read a little bit of our normal disclaimer that is associated during this time of our podcast episode, or every episode that we do. And here it is, that the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience is asking for help on a voluntary basis to anyone out there that would like to assist our podcast show by the ways of sponsorship and or financially donating to our podcast show to help improve the quality of our podcast and make it that much better. Now, all the proceeds that we raise will be going towards getting more equipment and better equipment that we need here, such as microphones for in-studio guests, the XLR cables that are required for those microphones, headphones, and a MacBook Pro, just because the fact that we will need a MacBook Pro to continue to create and provide excellent episodes like this one to you guys. And whatever it is that you can donate will help out. You know what I mean? Whether if you want to donate $5 million, which I don't think anybody would do that, but you never know, to even as low as $5, every little bit helps, and we would appreciate, your help in any which way possible. You can make that donation using either PayPal, Venmo, or Cash App. I know for a fact that PayPal is on a website, so you can use that. I think Venmo is strictly an app type of a situation, and so is Cash App. If you're going to go ahead and donate via PayPal and Venmo, just look us up under our tag name at Kim Hoang MD Actor. That's once again at KIMHOANG MD ACTOR. And on Cash App, you can just again use our tag name $ Kim Hoang MD Actor. Once again, that's $ Kim Hoang MD Actor, and that's it. That's all there is to it. But now, the moment that you guys all have been waiting for. You've been waiting for it. I've been waiting for it. It is our Q&A session. Yes, you ask the questions, and I will do my best to answer it. And this is actually pretty good because we have 7 questions and our rarity, a bonus question. So I'm really excited about this. So in grand total, we have 8 questions. So I'm really excited about it. I'm really ready to get on the ball with this. Let's get into it because we have zero time. We have no time to waste. We got to go. So here we go. Dun, 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 dun. And here we go. The beginning of the Q&A forum. Here we go. Question and answer. Question number 1. Kim, can a long distance relationship work? Heather from Baccaro Point, Nova Scotia. All right. I will say this. It's possible to make a long distance relationship work. It definitely takes a lot of, work from your end and the person that you're going out with, their end, whether if it's, male, female, whether if it's somebody else, it takes a lot of work from the both of you to get it going. It isn't going to be easy, but it can be done. Now, whether or not that, you rather have a domesticated, relationship just because you seem to think that it's a little bit safer, that's on you. And that's fine. But the question here is, can you make a long distance relationship work? And I think that you can. As long as you guys realize that, the relationship of where it's at, the distance between you guys, and how you're going to work this out, if you're okay with that and you continue to work with that, then you're going to be fine. If it's something that it's a little bit too much, you may need to consider the facts. And that's all. I'm not wishing anybody any ill will or I'm going to say that you guys are going to break up because of it. I'm just saying be realistic of what you want to do and so forth. And set the boundaries and the rules and make sure that each of you guys from your end and from their end that you guys are on the same wavelength. That's all I'm saying. Question number 2. Kim, can you please explain the differences between the different weights of karate uniforms? Roberto from Troy, New York. Roberto, yeah, I can definitely do that. They usually go in different classes of standard weight, or known as lightweight. Then there's the middleweight, and then there's a heavyweight. Standard weight is between 6 and 7 ounces, right? That's like your student entry level type of uniform. You know what I mean? It's really light, it's comfortable, it's not heavy, it's free flowing, and it's pretty good. The only problem of it is that, depending on certain companies, the lightweight uniform tends to not really get the job done. It's very fragile. And I'm saying some companies do that, not all. The middleweight is a little bit heavier. between 8 ounces and 10 ounces. Now, it's just as light as, the standard lightweight uniform, but it has a little bit more give like the heavyweight uniform. So it's kind of like, again, like its namesake, it's in the middle. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit more durable in terms of the fact that there's a little bit more cotton being used in the uniform, so there's definitely a little bit more density and a little bit more durability. And a lot of students that are a little bit more of like intermediates and advanced levels, they like to lean towards that type of uniform. So that's pretty cool. Again, definitely has a little bit more of a lifespan than the standard lightweight uniform. By definition, that there's still there's more material, but that's all I have to say about that. Now, the heavyweight uniform, that's a thick heavyweight uniform. That's actually made out of like canvas. Canvas is the same type of materials that they use to make sails from sailboats, and they weigh anywhere between 11 ounces and above. I highly recommend that advanced belts, especially black belts, could probably wear that a little bit more because they're a little bit more used to it. It definitely has a good life span, a good shelf life, if you will, of the nature of that particular uniform. There is a little bit of an issue, though. A lot of people complain about the fact that, because it's heavy, obviously it takes a little bit more body strength. You heat up a little bit quickly when you're wearing a heavyweight uniform, especially like if you're wearing a heavyweight uniform during like the spring or summer and it gets really hot. It's a lot going on there. That's why I tell people, number one, if you're a black belt, I definitely would recommend wearing that, but I would definitely wear it in times of if you're going to be competing in a martial art tournament, or if you're being a judge at a test, and you're a black belt and you're just sitting down. Yeah, you can wear a heavyweight uniform and it would be pretty cool. Either or, you can't really go wrong with all types of uniforms because they definitely have a different type of feel to it and a different type of use for it. So you really have to choose what works well. I usually go for middleweight at the most that I'll go with. Obviously, I use the standard ones a lot for my everyday exercises, so that's really good. Heavyweights, I have them, but I'll only use it on a rare occasion that, if I'm going to compete or if I'm going to a test, and me being a black belt, I want to wear something that's a little bit more presentable, you know what I'm saying? So there you go. Question number 3. Kim, who wins, the Apple Watch or the Samsung Watch? What is better? Cassie from Wilson, North Carolina. Cassie, both watches are really good, but I would say it's a little bit unfair for me to answer this because I don't really know too much about the Samsung Watch. I have an Apple Watch, you know what I mean? And it works pretty well. It syncs to my iPhone. It has a lot of apps that I can use already that's on the watch, like measuring my heart rate and just, measuring like my steps and so forth and counting how many steps that I took and etc. So in that sense, it's it's pretty good. And I like that. I think it's really great. And plus, it looks cool and it definitely does the trick for me, and it also has a great battery life for me because I only have to recharge it maybe before I go to sleep, and when I wake up it's fully charged and it's ready to go, and I like it. I'm not saying that the Samsung Watch is terrible. I'm really not. I think it's a great watch. I'm just not really 100% familiar with it. I know it has a lot of functions just like the Apple Watch. It's just a little bit more different and a different presentation. So whatever watch that you feel, I think that you should go with it. Also, the fact that I would say, do your research in finding out what watch would work better for you. Find out what you like. Especially, like, let's say, for example, if you have an iPhone already, it probably would be in your best interest to have an Apple Watch instead of, the Samsung watch. Just because it can sync a little bit better, it can read each other a little bit better, and you wouldn't have a problem. Same thing, like if you have a Samsung phone, it'd probably be in your best interest to go have a Samsung watch because, again, the synchronicity and the communication is a little bit better when you have a company where it's like the same company and that both the watch and the phone can work because it is under the same brand. If you try to have like an iPhone but you have a Samsung watch, you could do that and vice versa. Just don't expect it to actually sync with your phone because, it's like, this device is communicating in English and this device is communicating in French. So it wouldn't work. Wouldn't work. Question number 4, Kim, what's your opinion on not surrounding or separating yourself from negative people in your life? Jack from Mitchell, South Dakota. Jack, I definitely would say I'm with you on this. Because this is a good question. This is also a good question, which also involves mental health, because there are some people with mental health challenges that unfortunately have to separate themselves from certain people, whether if it's friends, co-workers, immediate family members, things of that nature, because their anxiety and frustration and their depression is going through the roof because of those individuals that are there. You know what I mean? And I get that. So in that sense, I feel like if you have to separate yourself or not surround yourself with the people that are negative in your life, or you just feel very uncomfortable in, I support you, not surrounding yourself with those people. I support you that you're separating yourself from those people because, you're looking out for the best interest of yourself, no one else's. And you know what you feel like, when it comes to that type of situation. First and foremost, it's okay not to not be okay. I mean, I'm definitely with that. But if these people are really doing a number on you, then you're doing the right thing of just separating yourself from the pack so that you're not going to add any more unnecessary, undue stress in your life. So if you got to take yourself out of the equation and, and separate yourself for whatever time frame that you need, whether if it's temporary or permanent, you got to do what you got to do. And I'm with you all the way, bud. 100%. Question number 5. Kim, what's your opinions on buying things that are used versus new? Nancy from Johnson, Arkansas. Nancy, I think that buying things used is okay. As long as it seems like everything's under good condition and you do your research to make sure that everything is copacetic. Now, again, this isn't buying everything new, which is guaranteed because it is used and it's gotten a lot of, mileage on it, if we can say that. But if you're okay with that, knowing that it's not brand new, that there might be some issues, then it's cool because I get it. You're trying to save some money. Who wouldn't want to save money? And as long as you can live with that, I think that's fine. But just do the research first on whatever it is that you're possibly buying used. Make sure that you do the research first and making sure that everything is good to go. So that's my take on it. Question number 6, Kim. The New York bagel versus the Montreal bagel. Who wins it? Alex from San Ramon, California. Alex, I've never had a bagel from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, so I can't really say if that's good or not. People say that it is, and I guess there is some validity in that for sure, because obviously there are some shows about food on TV that say that the Montreal style of bagel is excellent. I have had a New York bagel before, and I thought it was amazing. Definitely a lot better than the standard bagel that you get at Panera Bread or something like that, or Einstein bagels, you know what I mean? The New York style bagel is the shiznit, you know what I mean? It's really, really good. And, I'm just hoping, honestly, that, people can actually try some New York style bagels, because it's really good. I'm not sure what it is that they do, but it's a lot better than the standard bagel. So in this case, for right now, due to technicality, I would say that I would prefer a New York style bagel. Now, if I try a Montreal style bagel and I seem to like it a little bit better, I will have no problems of admitting it. To me, it's like, it doesn't matter if the cheesecake is from New York or if it's from Paris, France. A cheesecake to me is like, if it's good, it's good. You know what I mean? So that's where it's at. So let's go ahead. Let's get it. Let's do what we need to do. And that's it. So, yeah, ain't no problems in that. Question number 7, Kim. There is a quote from the Spider-Man movie that says, "With great power comes great responsibility." Do you believe in that statement? Veronica from Randall, Minnesota. Absolutely. And I think that, God bless that first Spider-Man movie in the 90s. And I think that was, who was that? Tobey Maguire? Yeah. That very first one. When his Uncle Ben said that to Peter Parker, it definitely made a lot of sense, because, the more that that's great. And the more, skills that you have, it's amazing. But, you have to understand that, with that, you have to understand about, when it's the right time to use it and when it's not the right time to use it, because it is a responsibility. It is one of those things where, if you use it, you got to use it the right way. Because if you don't, you're definitely going to face the consequences. And I truly believe in that. It's like the same thing with the martial arts. When you have the black belt rank, it's a great rank that has great power, but you got to learn how to use that power. You got to learn how to use that knowledge and use it correctly. So I definitely believe in that statement for sure, and it's definitely real. It's 100% real. So I got to give Spider-Man, that movie, a lot of credit, man. It's the shiznit for sure. Now we are done with our 7 questions, but we now have a bonus question. So I'm excited about it. Really excited about it. So let's go ahead and do it. Let's see. Bonus question. Kim, what is the most useful tool in podcasting that a podcaster must utilize? Brooke from Yelm, Washington. Okay. Brooke, I think for me, and believe it or not, this is a little bit, this answer is going to be a little bit weird for some people, because they would think that, it's the microphone or it's this or it's that. But honestly, I think that a flash drive or an external hard drive is probably the most useful tool in podcasting, because let's say, for example, you go out there and you're making an episode of your podcast, right? And you need to save that information, because you need to transfer it from one end to the other. having a flash drive will help you out because you have instant access to go ahead and save that information and then use that information to another computer device whenever that you need to. It's also great because, it's like a bank where, you store so much, things, and it's awesome. I don't know where I would be without that because I know I need to save my information every single time. I know that I need to transfer it from, place to place. And without it, I definitely would be lost. I think that for me, I like my flash drive to be the one that has like a lot of, storage capacity, at least for working purposes. Maybe like if I can get like a 512 gigabyte, flash drive, I think that would be incredible, to even 1 terabyte if it's possible. But other than that, though, I'm really good to go, and that's it. I feel really good. I'm feeling really, really good about it. So, yeah, and that's it. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. We have really went down to the wire, and it's amazing. It's amazing, and it's awesome, and I really appreciate it. So let's go ahead and get it going, guys. You can follow us on social media. You can go over to Facebook, just go over to the search box, and then type in the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. I will be there. We are also on Twitter and on Instagram. Just go ahead and find us under our tag name at TKHPC Experience. Once again, that's at TKHPC Experience, all in one word, lowercase letters. You follow me, and I'll follow you back. We are on 6 podcasting platforms, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, Audible, which is a podcasting platform as well as an audiobook platform, and we are also on iHeartRadio. Now, do us a favor. If you have Spotify, please give us a 5-star ranking. If you have Apple Podcasts, please give us a 5-star ranking and a positive written review, because the more times that you do that for Spotify and for Apple Podcasts, then the more times that our podcast will be thrown into the front lines, and people will say something like, oh my gosh, this is the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. This is amazing because, my friend Mila was telling me about this podcast, and she says it's amazing. We should probably subscribe to it and follow it. Yes. Follow it, like the podcast, subscribe to it on all of those platforms. It would be incredible. And, if you can do us a favor, please spread the word about our podcast on all of your on all of your social media platforms about our podcast, whether if you're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitter is now known as X. Whether if you have Snapchat and or TikTok, please do so, or please tell people in person, whether if it's your coworker, your family member, or your friend. Share it, because sharing is caring, and we really do appreciate that. It's what we call in the industry that it is brand awareness. Now, last but not least, if you have any if you have any suggestions about our podcast, if you have any questions for our Q&A session, if you want to be a guest, or if you want to be a guest host, email me at the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience at gmail.com. Whatever the subject is, put it in the subject box, and then in the body of the email, just write out whatever you need to do. Send it out there. Let me know what's up. And after that, I'll read the email. I'll get it. I'll probably respond back within about a day or two, because I do like these kind of email correspondence and ways of communication. I love that. It's really amazing. Last but not least, guys, I just want to say thank you. Thank you very much for all the love and support. We really do appreciate it. We cannot do this without you. And your love and support goes a long way. And I always say that this podcast is not just my podcast, it's yours as well. So just know that, I'm going to keep on doing it until the wheels fall off, until you tell me that it's time for me to stop and you don't want it anymore. That's when I'll stop. But until then, I'm just going to keep that truck moving. So thank you guys for everything. We do appreciate it. Please be safe out there and, make the right decisions. Don't do anything that I wouldn't do. You know what I mean? It doesn't do us any good if you do something and it causes you to basically get buried in a pine box and get, lowered down 6 feet under. It doesn't do us any good. We want you to be healthy. We want you to be happy. We want you to be safe because you deserve it. And anybody that tells you otherwise, that if they tell you that you don't deserve it, you can tell them to go kiss your ass because, you ain't got time for that. You got time for positivity. You ain't got time for the negativity. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of here. Thank you so much. Coming at you live, recording from the Prototype Studios in Wheaton, Maryland. This is your boy Kim Hoang, the Asian sensation, your host with the most, the man with the plan, the guy that can bring the power less than half an hour, telling you that it's been real, it's been fun, we will do it again. God bless y'all. And you know what? We will get with you real soon. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. So we're going to go ahead and do our thing. And that's it, So peace out, guys. It's been real. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get on with the get on. All right. Take care, guys. Peace.